It's KBKW's Coffee Talk on FM 94.7 and AM 1450, and time now for the Insider Report with Everett Hughes. Good morning, Everett.
It is that time once again.
Yes, and so what is the topic of discussion today?
Well, here's what I didn't think the topic was going to be. I didn't think it was going to be on ACA again.
Now, people don't know what ACA is, a lot of people.
Well, call it Obamacare.
Obamacare, or actually ACA.
The Affordable Care Act.
Yeah, the Affordable Care Act.
Which it
ACA.
isn't, but that's what we're calling it.
Yes, ACA for short.
Okay, the insurance thing that's going to start on the 1st of October.
Kind of like KFC.
That we've talked, right.
Yes.
And I was going to talk about something else.
Uh-huh.
But I don't get to because I had a client in. One of the guys that have waited to the last to do his corporate extension. But he was in, and we started talking about health care. He's got about 15, 16 employees.
Mm-hmm.
So we start talking about the credit. You know, if the employer goes down and gets the insurance, if he buys it through the exchange, now in 14 and 15, and right now none of his employees are covered, but he thinks they should be. So he wants to take advantage of the Obamacare. And so he can go down and figure out to the exchange and figure out if he can buy this in order to get the 50% credit, but then we talked about all of that. And we're not really sure how that calculation will be. We know that the last calculation on the 35% didn't amount to much at all, and it didn't go over that well. And so finally we talked about this for quite a while. And finally he said, well, and I was reminded of what I said to Michael 2 weeks ago. He said, well, how about if I just send all my employees directly to the exchange? And I said, well, sir, I think I'm going to recommend you do that. And he told me what some of the wages were of his, and the business he's running. Oh, he's got about, most of them, half of them are part-time, half of them are full-time. And his highest person in the business he runs, he's maybe paying him $30,000 a year. So we talked about it, and the way it's looking is if that's who your employee base is at that level, they are best off if you just send them straight to the exchange, because they can probably get a better coverage from the exchange individually than the employer can buy for them through the exchange, even though the employer is getting the 50% credit.
So, and that's kind of what, when we had the spokesman in from the exchange, said in so many words, isn't it?
What he said was that that's a wild card they don't know.
Oh, okay, but it may be not as wild carded as it looks.
Well, he didn't want to say what you and I are both thinking right now, but I'm sure he knows. Because I'm sure they've thought about this, because what's going to happen is employers are going to sit down with their accountants, and they're going to go through the math like my client and I did yesterday, and they're going to decide, especially if they're not already covering them, they're going to decide. And he doesn't have a requirement to do anything, but he wants all of his clients to have health insurance. So he was going to do it for them. But after the conversation yesterday, I said, well, here's what you do. You go down and just call them in October and see what's going on. And so we're kind of doing some research on this one corporation tonight. He's going to go down and find out what it would cost him and what kind of coverage, and then he's going to look at the wage level of his employees, and that's going to be pretty clear. Well, my instincts tell me, Doug, that the employee will do better if they go down individually to the exchange and get their own policy.
But the employer can help fund that by giving him the money.
Well, if the employer wants to, sure.
Okay.
He can give them a raise so they can go buy their own health insurance, sure.
Okay. Well, I see we're just out of time. So
but it was interesting that walked in yesterday, and that was the topic.
Okay. And, of course, if you want more information from Everett Hughes, give him a call at 533-4131 or go to the website.
EverettHughes.com and hear them all.